Welcome to the Tydirium Hangar 2,000 subscribers special. The first 1,000 subscriber special was all about influencers and favorite YouTubers and top Transformer YouTubers, but this one is all about you, the viewer, and your collections. Now first, if you didn't get your collection in, or if I missed it, please let me know. But you could still submit your collection pictures to Facebook, Tydirium Hangar Toys. And I plan to do this probably once a month, maybe every 2 months, depending on how often I get new collection pictures. But again, I want everyone to be positive. These no negative comments on anybody's collections, because there's enough negativity in our fandom already. I do want to also say thanks for all the feedback I've gotten. I listened to you, and I've implemented some of the changes that have been suggested. I can't obviously implement all of that right away, or maybe not even all of it ever. But I do listen and I do make some changes, and the amount of feedback I'm getting just tells me there's that many people want to see this channel succeed and grow and be awesome, and that makes me feel really good. And also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and help us get to that 3,000 subscribers, and please press a like on there. Now let's get into checking out all these great collections. First picture we have is Stu's collection, and looking at getting started with the Takara. And the cool thing about getting started late, looks like we got a couple of pluses in there, so that's a real plus to be able to pick and choose nowadays which one you're going to go with. And looking up top, some Decepticons. Now looking at this, you see mostly official figures, and then there's this one Springer option in here, and I think it looks good. I think it's a really good start to what's going to be an amazing collection. Thanks for submitting, Stu. Next we have Marc's collection, and got a couple of great figures in here to get started. Now, starting out with just going after Autobots and then going after Decepticons. So that's something that you can do. That's a way to do it. Say, hey, I want to fill out an Autobot shelf, then I'm going to start working on some Decepticon shelf. And that's definitely a great way to get started also. Now looking here, we've got the Transform Element Prime. We've also got the MP39, and I know a lot of collectors who still haven't gotten the MP39 Sunstreaker yet, so definitely an option there, or a challenge to pick that guy up these days. And Mark, thanks for the submission. Next up, we're going to look at Billy's collection here, and we've got the Weijing Omega Supreme, and I think any of those options, Weijing or DX9, all of them, look great. Those are all outstanding options. But one thing I want to point out about the Weijing is you've got the voice clip in there, so that's pretty cool. Now, with Billy's, he put in some AstroTurf to try to give it some more of a real-world feel in its display. I like that. He also built up some fire display in the background, and that looks pretty cool too. So I really like when people add some different elements and just make it feel like it's real. Here's Omega invading the Decepticon area, and so definitely nice mixture in here. And you know what, I've thought about this too a lot, was mixing in the old Combiner Wars Megatron in a display, and I think that figure, he scales well and he's got a nice shiny look to him, so he fits in there pretty well. Now this is one of the pictures, I think there's a few of them that show this whole concept, like we were talking with the City Bots. Well, this is Combiners with Legends, and they just look so much bigger next to the Legends, and this scale here, it looks great. It fits, it works, it looks amazing, and I'm trying to fight off that urge to buy Legends figures. Then we've got the good old MP01, still fighting that fight, and yeah, I gotta admit, holding on to the first original, that's great, that's awesome, and I'm doing the same. And then of course fighting MP36. But Billy, thank you for your submission, great collection. Next collection I want to talk about is Herbert's collection, and there's a couple of really cool things here, but I like how it's all neat and compact and in one little area. I kind of have mine spread out to actually several rooms here and there. And so it's all just nice and neat, and everything is spaced really well, so I like that. But starting at the top, you've got the Combiner Wars Devastator, and then that's the Zhujiang Jet Commander up top. Those things scale very, very well together and look extremely good because they're almost exact same height. Now, the other thing I want to point out when you look at this whole picture here is the Dinobots that are set up behind that TV. And a lot of times these days we have those TVs, there's not it's kind of a waste of space behind it and above it. So I don't know if we put a shelf in or if that's just like a big box or something. But however it was, utilizing that space, that's an excellent way to utilize it. So over here on the right side, we got Autobots inside of, and I like wooden shelves. I also like glass, and this is the combination of two, and definitely helps keep the dust out, so that works. But looking at this, we've got the very top shelf with the Optimus Prime. You got with a Magic Square Optimus Prime. You've got official Ratchet and Ironhide, and then MMC Mirage, official. But looking at this, my point is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different companies in 6 figures, which I think gives a very interesting look to a shelf with the Fans Toys Town in there and all that. And so looking at that, and that never ceases to amaze me that I can see so many different collections, and yet they're still made up of different combinations of figures, and they look great. The other thing I like to show is point out kind of how you're doing some levels in here, so you can kind of boost some figures up. So kind of if you stack them or even display them all just on a flat surface, you can't see the ones at the back very well, so elevating them up a bit so that you see them better is an excellent option and definitely displays a whole lot better. Plus, I love the lighting in there too. So when you have lighting like this, of course, that makes it a focal point. Looking in here on the Decepticon side of things, we've got some official Shockwave, Megs, and Soundwave. But also, we've got the Make Toys Visualizer in there. They look good and posed well. It's just how you get those 3 guys. I've been trying to figure out how I want to pose the 3 of mine that they just don't look redundant. That is a good idea to kind of break up the monotony of 3 posing there. Now down below that, we've got Seekers and some Insecticons, and I think that looks good. That looks great. Just the spacing and then the levels, and I don't know if those are they on the stands to make them a little bit higher up, but that really works out well. And then of course down below there's some other items, and actually that kind of, I had an idea, I really wanted to make a video about it, but I wasn't sure if there was enough content or information. But it seems like most Transformer collectors, they collect just Transformers, and I don't see a whole lot of Transformer collectors that collect a whole bunch of other stuff. But I don't know. Put some feedback down there. Let me know what you think about that concept. And thank you very much for showing us your collection, Herbert. Now we're gonna move on to the next collection, Ray's collection, and I gotta say this is super G1. A ton of G1 stuff. There's some stuff in here that looks a little bit like hard to get or I haven't seen before. So it's really interesting to see stuff like that. And I see, like with the Seekers, we've got a lot of different color Seekers that I've never seen in the wild. I've seen a couple of them online, but that's interesting because getting with that yellow and the red Seeker, I just didn't know in the G1 mold that those things existed. And then it's interesting also when you have this Lego pillars, makes it look super 80s. Like I know all of us just love the 80s. So throwing in some 80s stuff. Nowadays Legos aren't just Legos and use your imagination. They're kits to build something specific. But those are just true Legos. Anyway, getting into the rest of it. Now I know one of the challenges, of course, is lighting, and I'm finding I have challenges with lighting for the videos and all that stuff. So getting super crisp picture, the lighting is always a challenge. But I can still see quite a few great gems in there. Thanks for sharing, Ray. Next up we have John's collection, and I want to say that John displays it very neat, very organized, very well spaced. And I like the backgrounds in each shelf because it makes it more interesting. And I think I've seen these backgrounds for sale before somewhere, and I'm not 100% sure where to get them. But it fits perfect in this. I don't know if they had to get modified to fit so well, but it fits really well. Looks good. You can clearly see left Autobot, right Decepticon. But up top, you know, discussing how we display like the bigger figures. I think that video, Friday's video about how big's too big, and I'm seeing this would be the idea to display like 4-foot figures, but we see the Constructor up there. We see, I think those are the KFC Out the Clones. I can't tell from here, or maybe the Fans Toys ones, but still great options. Just looking really nice. And then of course you've got Phoenix, and I've had Phoenix now a week, and the appreciation for that figure just keeps going up every single day. Here we go. John's got a nice corner with the big massive city bots, and you know, they brought another question, like how many people display city bots in their base mode. And I know the G1 base mode for Max is far superior to any of the base modes that we have going on today with the modern ones, so that looks really good. And then that does get back into the how big's too big, where would you display them, and obviously right here. And here we go with a really nice looking display here too. So we've got these like kind of the modular box set up, and so each little box in there could be its own scene or group of figures that should be grouped together, and so that would work. And along the bottom I see some, is that Constructor in just broken down into robot modes, individual robot modes, so like 2 Constructors. That would be interesting. I think that's what those are. And then the Megatron right in the center there, it's one of the third-party versions. Looks pretty solid actually, but a great looking collection there. And then in case you're wondering, on the top there, that's the Power of the Primes version of the Predaking, and he looks good next to, just in the middle of a whole bunch of awesome masterpiece figures. That dude does look good. So thank you, John, for sharing. Your collection is beautiful and very well displayed. So next collection I want to talk about is Sam's collection, and I want to say that this is a very nice G1 collection, and kind of has the same kind of concept of how I'm displaying mine in a way. Like you could shut those doors and the room will look a little bit less busy. You can open them up and display and just enjoy all of the G1 goodness that's hiding in there. So that kind of is an option for displaying also, and keep them safe and free from light and dust. But starting at the top, you've got the G1 Fort Max. I know that's definitely an amazing figure. And then scrolling down a bit, we've got some Combiners and Omega and a bunch of other figures. And it's a mixture of alt mode and a mixture of robot mode, and I like displaying like that. That's definitely a great way to display. And so hopefully some collectors can get ideas on how to display, or what they see others do and say, man, I like that. That looks really good. And which is part of what I want to do with all this series. Now we get into, this is like a picture of some other dinos that aren't the G1 figures or masterpiece, but still look really great on a shelf. And then into displaying his masterpiece. Sam's got his masterpiece up here, and looking at the top, you see the Zhejiang Jet Commander again with the Combiner Wars. They look good together, but then again, the Power of the Primes, Predaking in there, they all look good together. So I know if you walk into the room, your eye is immediately going to go to those 3 beasts up there, taking up all that space. And then down below, now I'm a big fan, like I said, of wood and of glass, and the combination in here with this cabinet, and it's lighted. I know that when the lights are out and you just have the lights on in this cabinet, that has to look just amazing with all those Transformers in there and just looking good. So I like display options like that. And then looking at the bottom, that's a big old Grimlock hiding up in there. So we've got some big Dinobots at the bottom, and it brings to question, do you store your Dinobots or display them in robot mode or in Dino mode? And a tasteful selection of some Chug stuff to the left, and looks very nice. Thanks for sharing. Getting into Michael's collection, it is big. It's a big collection, and I gotta say, big and well displayed. And there's a couple of cool things he did we're gonna get into here in just a little bit. But starting with this picture up at the top, we've got Unicron in like a vase or a big cup
or glass or something like that. That's an interesting idea on how to display your Unicron. I actually saw a Unicron stand somebody was trying to sell for like 26 bucks or something. But this is a very affordable idea, and it still looks good. And then if you look through the rest of it here, so in the top you got, I like the wood and the glass again. That's always great. And it looks like we've got some of kind of the older stuff in his collection. And as you get down, you're moving into newer as it goes down. And then of course in his main, now these look like versions of DTOFs, I'm not sure. But in this main display area is what he's displaying right now, like the favorite stuff. And a lot of great Transformers in there. I want to point out in this section where you have Unicron with Legends. Now I'm seeing that again. I've seen that a few times with Legends figures offsetting to give you that scale with the larger figures. Even though the larger figures aren't at scale, that's where Legends, it's making it harder and harder for me to say no to Legends. I'm trying not to cross into that, but that looks really good right there, I have to admit. And then Phoenix, of course, I appreciate that Phoenix that's right above them. And moving right along, I want to talk about this other section of the shelf where you see Megatron. You got 3 different companies in there, all going towards one look in one area. So you got Fans Toys, X-Transbots, and then DX9 with the Galvatron, the Scourge. And I like that. I just think, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want all Fans Toys, or I want all of one company. But I think mixing the companies make a shelf look even more interesting. And we're up here rocking a third-party Megatron along with Fans Toys Quakewave and then a official Soundwave, and that looks really good along with Predaking. So each shelf, just taking some time, each one of these little cubes of putting them in there, and then using the levels right next to it with the MMC Mirage and official Carbots on the lower and back level, and then the mid-range guys. I think that's definitely a great way to display, so you could see all of the characters. There's some Chug stuff going on, and it's one of those things that mixing the Chug and the Masterpiece together is kind of hard, so you definitely want to display them separately, and it does look good when you display these guys like each in their own worlds, in their own zones. I also want to point out that having these, I think that's like the Green Giant, the Make Toys Green Giant, whoever made the Green Giant, and then these other 2, is that the Fans Project version of Minosaur, and then we've got the Bruticus. Now these are sort of an older scale to scale with Chug, and I think they do scale well with Chug, and I think they look really good. I don't know if you saw another picture, there was some dinos in Robot and dinos in Dinobot, and I do think it's really hard to not love the Dinobots in the Dino modes. But then again, here they are in Robot mode again, so that's one thing. He definitely flips his figures back and forth. Michael does take the time to flip them, takes a picture and flips them back, takes a picture. It looks great. Here's some amazing G1 goodness. And that looks good and very well displayed. Now, here is the alt mode of pretty much the main collection of Masterpiece. And I think in asking, it took like about a week just on and off, flipping them back and forth to get these shots. But I think that's very impressive. I actually have never seen anybody do their whole collection in alt mode and then flip them all right back around into robot mode just like this. I thought that's pretty impressive, and that's really cool. Thank you for sharing, Michael. And anybody else who wants to put their submissions in, please submit your pictures to Titanium Hanger Toys.
Now I hope you enjoyed all those collections. If you didn't get yours in, I'm going to do this probably once a month, so go ahead and get your collections in. You can go to the Facebook page, Titanium Hanger Toys, all that great stuff. But then again, thanks again for all the support. Like and subscribe.